The Deity PR-2 is the most feature-packed tiny audio recorder you can buy today with the best timecode ecosystem that works with your other camera gear, and I think you're absolutely going to love it. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Deity PR-2 from the perspective of a wedding filmmaker. So if you film weddings or corporate or commercial videos or anything like that where you need to put a microphone on someone, this video should be really helpful to you. In addition, for the sake of ethics, I want you to know this video is not paid or sponsored by Deity, but they did send me 2 versions of this recorder so I could make this review, and we're going to talk more about the differences between these 2 versions later in this video. Getting right into the review now, the first thing you need to know is that the PR-2 is entering a pretty crowded market, with much of their competition offering similar audio recorders and capabilities. You have Zoom with their F2, Tascam with their DR10L, Tentacle Sync with their Track E, all of which offer great standalone 32-bit float audio recording, not to mention even more competition from the likes of Rode with the Rode Wireless Pro, DJI with the DJI Mic 2, which both of those are considered to be more affordable wireless microphone systems, but they also happen to be capable of not only transmitting audio to a receiver, but also recording a 32-bit float backup audio track. So as you can see, there are a ton of options out there for you to consider as a filmmaker, and pretty much all of them across the board are going to record high quality audio, which means that your choice isn't going to come down to necessarily which one is better quality, because they're all good quality. Instead, it's going to really come down to the ecosystem that is built up around the recorder and how well it works with the rest of your camera and audio gear. And I have to say, that's one of the reasons that I find the Deity PR-2 so compelling, because Deity has built up a reputation of creating a very solid ecosystem of microphones, recorders, and timecode generators. But up until this point, they've not had a small, affordable 32-bit audio recorder like this in the ecosystem. And I think that the PR-2 works really well and is worth you considering, especially if you use timecode or if you want to use timecode. Talking more about the unit itself, and don't worry, we're going to circle back to this ecosystem and timecode. Like all of its competition, the PR-2 is built of a high-quality plastic, and looking at it, it's a bit larger than something like the Tascam DR10L Pro, but not massively so. And so you shouldn't have any issue hiding this recorder on someone, slipping it into their jacket or into their back pocket, etc. One interesting accessory too is the belt clip, which you can easily slot the recorder in and out of. When I'm filming weddings, I don't usually use a belt clip. I'll just slip a recorder into someone's pocket, but there are occasional weddings where they don't have pockets and I need to use a clip, so I like that this is optional because it can help keep the footprint of the recorder smaller, but it's also another piece of equipment that you're gonna have to remember to bring along just in case you need it, so be sure you don't lose it. Now, one of the benefits of this larger recorder size is that Deity was able to fit 2 AA batteries inside the recorder, giving it incredible battery life, better than any of their competition. Deity claims on their website that this recorder has a 30-hour battery life, and when I tested it, I'm happy to tell you that this was accurate, with the recorder batteries lasting for 30 hours and 43 minutes. So if you are someone that oftentimes find yourself filming all day, let's say maybe you put a microphone on the bride and groom at the beginning of the wedding day, and you leave it on them throughout and don't take it off till the end, you can trust one of these recorders to last even the longest wedding day. Heck, it might last 2 or 3 wedding days, depending on how long you put the recorder on the people and have it running. In addition, because I know that I'm going to get comments about the battery options for this recorder, because I do every single time that I make a small audio recorder review like this, you should be aware that there are really 2 different camps when it comes to how audio recorders like these should have batteries. One side says that they should have an integrated battery that can recharge like the Tentacle Track E, while the other side says that you should be able to swap the batteries out and use AA's or AAA's. I personally am more on the side of using AA's or AAA's because you can still use rechargeable AA or AAA batteries if you want to, and in addition, if you get to a wedding or another shoot and you forget to charge your recorder, you're in big trouble because you have to wait for their recorder to charge. Like, hold on, my lithium's not charged. Let me plug this in. Can you wait 2 hours, delay the ceremony? You don't have that option, which leads to interchangeable batteries, which you can just pop in a fresh set of batteries if they die and you're good to go, which is obviously why I prefer that. If If you don't, though, that's okay. You can argue in the comments with me. Next, I want you to know the PR-2 does not have any internal storage, but instead it takes a micro SD card. And what's nice is that it comes with a card in the recorder. So you don't have to spend any extra buying a card. There's already one inside it. And I do mean inside. Unlike something like the Tascam DR10L Pro, which has a little micro SD card slot on the side, with the PR-2, you're going to need to take off the battery cover to access the memory card slot. And in addition, this slot is very snug up against the batteries. And while it's possible to take it out without removing the batteries, I find it to be much easier if you take out the batteries, then remove and insert the memory card. Now, once you get the memory card in there, like I said, the PR-2 comes with a micro SD memory card that is 32 gigabytes in size, but it can take cards up to 128 gigabytes in size, which is plenty large even for 32-bit float audio recording. For context, the recorder says that the 32-bit card that comes with it still has a recording time of 43 hours, so I wouldn't stress. You're gonna be fine with the space just on the included micro SD card. Feel free to expand if you want to, though. Anyways, another benefit of this recorder being a bit larger, in my opinion, is that Deity was able to pack a decently sized full-color screen on the front, which can give you a ton of information. And I greatly prefer being able to see the settings on the screen versus something like a Zoom F2 or a Rode Wireless Pro, DJI Mic 2, Tentacle Track E, where the recorders don't have a screen, you just have a light telling you if they're working or not. More information is pretty much always better in my opinion, and I like that this screen is giving me that. Controls for this recorder are also interesting too, because they're simple while still being really easy to use and letting you control all the recorder features. You have a power button on the side, which also doubles as a back button if you need to go out of a menu, and then the record button does double duty as a select button as well if you short press it, and if you hold it down for a few seconds, you can start and stop recording, as well as rotate the record button because it's a dial too, to scroll through all of the different settings. Once you get it, it works really well, and it's actually really comfortable to hold the recorder and scroll at the same time. By default, the recorder is going to be set to a record mode called Always, which means that anytime you turn it on, it's going to instantly start recording to help save you time, which that's not a bad thing. You can change this to manual in the settings though, and then start and stop recording by holding it down for a few seconds. In addition, because this is a very important feature that is not super intuitive, what you should know is that across all of Deity's audio products, they all have the ability to lock and unlock the buttons on their devices in the same way. So if you don't want anyone trying to turn off your audio recorder while it's running or change any settings, etc., all you'd have to do is triple tap the power button on the side to lock the recorder, or triple tap it again to unlock it, and you'll see a little lock and unlock icon appear next to the battery life indicator, and it's pretty simple to do. I don't think this is quite as intuitive as something like the Tascam DR10L Pro, which has a locking feature built in essentially by virtue of how the power and record slider on the side is designed, but I still think that this lock and unlock feature is complicated enough to prevent you from accidentally triggering it. Also, I want you to know that you can actually go into the menus and turn on an auto lock feature as well, which will let you lock the recorder after 15 seconds or 1 minute. So you don't have to remember to triple tap the power button to lock it. You just have to remember to do that to unlock it, and I would definitely turn that on. Digging more into the settings now, you can press the record button once to access the main menu, and here you can change the gain, access a lot of timecode settings, which we're going to talk about soon, switch between mic and line input if you want to plug this recorder into a soundboard or the back of a speaker, format the memory card, and access the USB settings, because yes, you can send a timecode signal over USB, which is great. Oh, and this USB-C port on the side will also power the recorder while it's recording, so if you want to use it with an external battery pack and get even longer battery life, hey, you can do that, but it already has really good battery life, so up to you. Also, on top of the recorder, I want you to know that there are actually two locking jacks. One 3.5 millimeter input like you would expect, so you could connect a lav mic, but another 3.5 millimeter output, which of course you can use to plug in headphones to monitor your audio. But notice that it is a locking connector, meaning that it's designed to enable you to send out timecode signal from this recorder over the 3.5 millimeter microphone jack to another device if you wanted to use the PR-2 as a timecode generator, and we'll talk more about timecode very soon. I know I keep saying that. We're going to get to it. Trust me. Now, between these two 3.5 millimeter microphone jacks, you have this switch that toggles between two settings on the recorder. And this is not super intuitive. There's nothing on the menu that pops up telling you what it does. And you're like, what the heck? How does this work? Well, the settings that this switch changes are actually going to depend on which version of the PR-2 you currently own. And I realize you may be confused thinking, Matt, there's only one PR-2, right? And technically the answer is yes and no. There is one PR-2, but there are two versions of this recorder. One version that's sold in the United States and another global version that's sold in the rest of the world. What the heck? Why do they have two versions? Well, that all goes back to this switch on the top of the PR-2 and how it works. On the global version of the PR-2 that is sold outside the United States, if you have this switch turned to the left, the recorder is going to let you plug in headphones to the 3.5mm output microphone jack and listen to your audio, or you can even connect this output jack to another recorder to record a backup audio track, etc. And then if you turn the switch to the right, that will bypass the PR-2's microphone powering system, so you can essentially plug something like a Sennheiser G4 transmitter into this output, piggyback that onto the PR-2 using its microphone, and then record a 32-bit float backup track that way. It's pretty cool. Alternatively, and unfortunately on the US version of the PR-2, with the switch turned to the left, it works just like the global version where you can monitor the audio with headphones. But if you turn the switch to the right, all it does is mute the audio from this output, and it actually gets worse. Flip this switch back to the left, and you can monitor the audio from this output with your headphones like we just talked about whenever the PR-2 is powered on. But here's the other caveat here. The instant you start this recorder recording, the recorder is going to mute this 3.5mm output, so you cannot turn it back on. Even in the settings, they're disabled. You cannot monitor the audio with your headphones, and it essentially becomes useless as an output. Now, why is this? And why the heck does Deity have to make two different versions of the PR-2, one for the world and a more limited version for the United States? Well, it all comes down to patents and lawsuits in the United States. There's a company called Zaxcom, and they currently have a patent on any wireless audio recorder that can record audio internally while transmitting it at the same time. Basically, at least at the time of recording this lesson, in the eyes of the United States government at least, Zaxcom is the only company that's able to make an audio recorder that also wirelessly transmits its audio at the same time. And now I hear you saying, Matt, what about the Rode Wireless Pro and the DJI Mic 2? Those are both wireless microphone systems that can transmit audio while also recording internally. And you're right. And guess what? Rode is currently being sued by Zaxcom for patent infringement. Now, I'm not a patent lawyer, so I'm not going to get into whether this patent held by Zaxcom should or shouldn't have been granted in the first place, but what I will say is that it looks like Deity wants to follow the rules, and they don't want to deal with a lawsuit, which is why they're not enabling this ability for you to use this audio output while the PR-2 is recording. I don't think that this is a technical limitation. I think it's that they don't want to be sued. And if you want more evidence pointing to this, all you have to do is look at their Deity Theos wireless microphone system, which is very advanced, but they're selling two versions of that system as well, a global version and a United States version. And while the global version is capable of recording a backup track internally to the wireless transmitter, the United States version has blocked that feature, and you can only use the Theos as either a recorder or a transmitter, but not at the same time. See, it's legal stuff and patents keeping you from this cool feature, but that's how it is in the United States, at least. Talking more about the features of the PR-2 now, and back to more positive things, hopefully, you should know that it is capable of recording 24-bit audio as well as a very high-quality 32-bit float audio, which is going to give you dramatically more control, especially if the audio is too quiet or too loud, you'll be able to recover it. And if you're wondering how it sounds, here is an audio test. This is a test of the Deity PR-2 audio recorder with the W-Lav microphone, and I think it sounds pretty darn great. This is just me talking at a normal volume, aside from breathing a little heavily because I've just jumped up from that table about 10 takes. But that said, this is me recording in 32-bit float audio. The lav mic is right here on me, running down my shirt into my pocket, and I think it sounds really great. Now, if I talk quieter, if I'm a really soft-spoken person, so I'm kind of whispering, one nice benefit of 32-bit float audio is that you can bring up the gain and make somebody sound louder without introducing a lot of noise. Alternatively, though, if I'm like a really loud, exuberant dude and I'm like, look at this, this is great, even if I'm talking really loudly, doesn't matter because 32-bit float's gonna protect those high peaks. Let me bring them down into the editing software. Pretty cool. Pretty good audio quality in my opinion. I think it sounds really great, but that said, there is a 32-bit float audio limitation of this recorder that you should be aware of as well, and that is that while the PR-2 is capable of recording stereo audio, if you switch it to stereo, it's going to switch back to 24-bit. You can only record 32-bit float audio if you are recording in mono. Personally, I don't find this to be a big deal because whenever I'm using a lav mic on someone, I don't want the audio to be in stereo. I just want to record very high quality audio of them speaking from the left and right channel. But if you're planning on using this recorder for some form of stereo audio recording, I would just be aware of this limitation. Now in the box, every PR-2 comes with an included lavalier microphone and clip. This is their WLav Pro microphone, and to my ear, this microphone not only sounds better than the stock lavs that come from their competition, Deity have modeled it after the Sanken Cos 11D, a very loved microphone. So this mic is very compact with a very small capsule that's very easy to hide. And look at that thing, it's so tiny, I love it. There's more good news too. If you want to upgrade your microphone, this recorder is capable of providing up to 5 volts of power, which is significantly more than something like the Tascam DR10L Pro, for example, that can only provide 2.3 volts of power, meaning that you can use a wide variety of lav mics with this recorder, which is great. In addition, with the release of the PR-2, Deity has also released an accessories kit, which comes with stickies to hide the lav mic on people, wind mufflers, extra wind screens, you've got extra lapel clips here. Really nice stuff. Talking more about the other features of this microphone now, and going back to what I said toward the start of this review about how this recorder has such a great ecosystem built up around it, we need to talk about Timecode, because over the past several years, Deity has built one of the easiest to use and most robust Timecode systems that works with a variety of audio recorders and cameras. Back in 2022, Deity released the TC1 Timecode generator, which is super compact, versatile, and very affordable, and it works with devices that have dedicated timecode inputs like the Sony FX3, FX30, A7S III, which all work over USB with an adapter, or many other cameras that also have dedicated timecode inputs, or even cameras that do not have a dedicated timecode input by sending a timecode audio signal that can be recorded to one of the audio channels. The TC1 was just the start though, and since then they've released more and more devices like their Theos line of wireless microphone systems that also support timecode, their SL1 timecode slate, and now the PR-2 that supports timecode as well. The best thing is that their system is not proprietary, so you can get it to work with a very wide range of cameras and audio recorders, and you can connect it to these other cameras and recorders in a lot of ways, including wirelessly transmitting the timecode signal or connecting a timecode cable to the 3.5mm out jack on the top of the recorder, which does work on the US version even while it is recording. You can't listen to it with headphones, but hey, you can send timecode, which is great. Oh, and you can also send timecode over USB, so you name it, you can pretty much use it to send or transmit timecode to or from this device. And even better, to help make all this timecode setup even easier between all your devices, they have the Sidus audio app. And if that app name sounds familiar to you, that may be because you probably already use the Sidus Link app if you have any Aperture or Amaran lights, because secret that isn't so secret, you can basically think of Deity as the audio arm of Aperture and Amaran. Anyways, this app is really stellar. You can wirelessly connect to your PR-2 as well as any of Deity's other audio or timecode devices. Deity says that it has a Bluetooth range of 250 feet, and what's great is that if you want to buy a lot of PR-2s, you can connect a ton of them with this app, a maximum of 48, which should cover most people as long as your name isn't Justin Porter. In the app, you can see the status of all your PR-2 recorders at the same time. You can start and stop them recording, change a ton of settings, adjust the gain, and as we talked about earlier with timecode, you can sync all of your PR-2s with your TC1 timecode devices and any other Deity timecode devices that support timecode using this app. So going back to this ecosystem, the app really ties everything together and helps you keep track and make sure that everything is working and recording properly. As a bonus too, and this is a really big bonus because not every standalone audio recorder supports it, I'm so happy to tell you that the Deity PR-2 will allow you to wirelessly monitor the audio from any of your recorders on your phone. Now, to avoid a lawsuit by Zaxcom, which remember, we talked about earlier about how they have a patent where only their recorders are allowed to record and transmit at the same time, to get around that, you have to press the monitoring button on the app, and there's a big pop-up on the screen saying that the audio is being transmitted, but you're not gonna be able to record this audio to your phone or anything like that. All you can do is press the big quit button to stop the audio transmitting after you've listened to it for a bit to make sure that it sounds good. In my opinion though, this is still a great feature to have because you can not only look at the audio meters to make sure that the audio is being picked up by the recorder, you can also listen to the sound being recorded to the recorder over Bluetooth and just confirm that it sounds good. Anyways, at the time of recording this, the Deity PR-2 retails for $230. And I think that if you compare that to the Tascam DR10L Pro at $220, the Tentacle Tracky at $350, and the Zoom F2 at $200, I think this is a very well-priced audio recorder, considering that it comes with a very high-quality microphone, has phenomenal battery life, and like I've said repeatedly throughout this video, you are buying into an ecosystem that Deity has created. So if you care about timecode, and it's something that you've wanted to start using or you've been considering using, I would recommend the PR-2 because it so easily works with their TC1 timecode generators, and those work in turn with a huge variety of cameras and audio recorders, which really makes it worth the timecode investment. Remember, all of these audio recorders that I've talked about in this video are great, and they're going to give you fantastic sounding audio. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you sell everything that you have and buy a lot of PR-2s. But if you have not upgraded to a 32-bit float audio recorder yet, or you're building out your audio recorder kit for the first time, I would heavily consider the PR-2, especially if you're interested in timecode, because it's just so easy to implement. Speaking of being easy to implement, I would highly recommend checking out my free workshop that's going to show you the exact steps to implement to book your next wedding. So if you've been filming weddings and you want to book more, or you have never filmed a wedding before, I would highly recommend checking out this workshop. It's completely free and it's linked down in the video description. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.